Hi, BWW community. This is Michelle Jackson again with BWW On Screen, and I'm here with Lynette Edwards. She is a author. She's written children's books, urban fiction, journals, so many different things, and we're so excited to have her. And we're here today to talk about publishing, and she's going to talk to us about publishing and all the different ways, from self-publishing to being signed with a publishing house, or Vanity Publishing. So she's going to educate us, because I need it, to just learn more about the different ways that you can publish a book. So Lynette, please tell us about yourself and tell us about your work.
Well, hello, and thank you so much for having me today. Just a little bit about me. I have been a published author for 9 years now. I have been blessed to have published books in 4 different genres. I currently have 4 Christian books, 3 urban fiction books, 2 self-help journals, a children's book, and 2 adult coloring books. Yeah, I've been able to do, a lot of great things, travel, meet a lot of people, network. Through the years, I have self-published. I've used Vanity Publishing, and I was actually signed to a book deal with a publishing house. And so all areas, of course, you have pros and cons of everything, but it's definitely been a learning process. And of course, the books have led to, additional things. And so writing has definitely been beneficial to me, and hopefully I can be beneficial to someone else.
That is so great. You said to me earlier that you are an emotional writer and not a traditional writer. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So I classify traditional writing as somebody who can literally pick up a pen and get a paper anytime and just write. Those are people who literally, any time of the day, morning, day, or night, they can write. It just flows. I'm not that person. It does not flow for me. I am an emotional writer. And when I say an emotional writer, I mean, I literally have to be going through a life-changing event for my words to flow on paper. Every book that I've written outside of the journals, every actual book has been because of an emotional time in my life. And I'll take example, Uncompromising Love. It's a Christian book that I wrote in 2013. I was actually watching The Passion of the Christ at a spiritual retreat, and there were parts of it that I just could not stomach. It literally hurt my stomach to even be able to watch. And so I started pacing back and forth, didn't know how to channel my emotions. And so I began writing. And in one night, I literally wrote over 20 chapters because I'm an emotional writer. That's my therapy. That's how I channel my emotions, and I get it out in a positive way.
I think that's excellent. My first book is called The Heart of a Man, and it is a Christian novel as well. And, it was my first book. I wasn't trying to write a book. I was having a bad day at work, and I used to run shopping centers. And so I was having a really tough day at my job, and there was this CEO or C-suite, I'll just say a gentleman in the C-suite, who was giving all the property managers a hard time. And I just started writing a story about him. And it was so interesting because it helped me to deal with what I was facing. There were some issues going on in the industry. There were some issues going on in my company. And I was very, torn over what I wanted to do with my career. And so I started writing. And the odd thing is that this character that I began to write on is a Caucasian man. So my whole book is from his perspective. And so yes, we learn how to write through the hard times, write through the pain. That's a big part of it. So I really love what you said about being an emotional writer, because I think for me, I am that emotional writer as well. So I want you to walk me through your process. Choose one of your works, any one of them, and walk us through the process of writing it, publishing it, and marketing it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Vanity Publishing, self-publishing, and being published through a publishing house. And so we can learn from your experience.
Okay. So I'll talk about Take Off the Mask. Take Off the Mask is the second book that I wrote. That book actually I wrote because at that point I was just really building my foundation as a Christian woman. And there were a lot of things that I saw that just really kind of shook me, so to speak. And so I began writing, it's called Take Off the Mask. be who you are, just embracing your true self, understanding who you are in God's eyes, and knowing that you could be unique just as you are. And so as far as that writing, the writing process for that started by just a lot of things I've seen. And I just kind of started putting chapters together and topics about, whenever you think of taking off the mask, what do you think of? You think of embracing you think of being free, you think of being unique, you think of being exactly who you were created to be. And so I literally just, when I write, it's kind of hard to explain, because once I write a topic, or if I'm having an emotional outbreak, it just flows. And so I just began writing. I wrote that book. And as far as publishing that book, I actually used a Vanity Publishing for that company for that book. Now, the awesome thing about that is, even though it was a Vanity publisher, that book actually still received national recognition. I was reached out by a producer for Lifetime Television, and I went on over there and did The Balancing Act, which is their national morning TV show, and that actually sparked a whole new world for me. Once I was able to do that, I actually did book tours, gallery tours, things of that nature. But as a publisher, we published the book. That process, if I could talk about it just for a little bit, it was okay. The good thing about the process working with a Vanity publisher is that they have a full line of resources for you. They have marketing specialists, they have consultants who can help you. They have editors if you choose that package, which is a whole nother conversation. And they're able to actually get the book out into the distribution world. And so that's a plus. And so working with a Vanity publisher for that book was awesome for me, because they were able to do things that I couldn't do at that time.
So let me ask you a question. So when you say Vanity, you're talking about, this is a publishing house where you had to pay,
correct,
in order to have your book published. Okay.
Correct. So with Vanity Publishing, you do have to pay. And so they have different packages that you can use. With that publishing style, they literally will give you a packaging deal and say, okay, this includes marketing, editing, promotions, or they'll have another deal where this is strictly just publishing. And so you literally pay them to publish your work and distribute it. And then you go out and you can either buy their marketing package or you can market it yourself. Okay. But that was one route that I went, and it worked for me at that time. Like I said, pros and cons. The pros is that I was able to see other people do it and how they did it, because at the time I really did not know. I was not informed on the whole process. But as a con, it's not only am I paying you up front, but you're also taking some of my royalties. So it's a con, because it's almost like you're double paying. You're paying to get it published, plus you still only get 10 to 20% royalty. And so that's the con with Vanity Publishing. Again, not a fan of it right now, but you do what works for you at the time.
Right, absolutely. So, you say Lifetime, girl, you got my heart, because I watch Lifetime all day long. So, just shame to say that, in Hallmark. But so that's very interesting that you were able to do so much with that Vanity Publishing opportunity. So that's good. And I think all of these opportunities have the pros and the cons. Right. I haven't heard anyone say, you know what, I published my book and it was just a flawless experience. The marketing was perfect, the royalties were perfect, but we don't do this. A lot of us, we're not doing this for the money. I mean, although we want to make money, I mean, I believe that. But a lot of it is just our passion to write, but you do want to make sure that the people we work with value the work. And so, there's so much now going on about so many inequities when it comes to how much Blacks and whites are being paid for their works. And that's something we all are, I'm sure we're all thinking about it in some form or fashion. But you talked about the pros and the cons of Vanity. But talk a little bit about your self-publishing experience.
So with self-publishing, I did not self-publish until I literally learned the process. I took a few years to actually learn the process, took some workshops, some classes. I mean, literally read books, research just on the whole self-publishing process. And when I self-published, that process to me was very easy. It was very simple to do. In fact, I actually teach people how to do it now, because it's literally that simple. But the good thing with that is that you have so much ownership and independence with your book. You're able to do so much more. You don't have to go through anybody. I don't have to call and say, hey, I need 30 copies of my book by tomorrow. I can do that myself. I don't have to go through anybody. Of course, you get a higher royalty rate because you're cutting out the middleman. And so because you don't have a publisher, that's a pro. You get more money. You get to learn the process. You get to do it yourself. Again, a very simple process. The con with that is that you are everything in that business, you know,
Mhm.
unless you consult with other people, which I strongly, suggest, especially when it comes to editing. But unless you consult with somebody, you are the marketer, you're the editor, you're the person formatting that book, you're the person that's promoting that book, you're the person that's literally doing everything for that book. And so again, pros and cons. Self-publishing right now is literally, I would say, almost one of the most popular things that there is to do right now, because it's so simple to do. The only thing is, because it's so simple, a lot of people are missing key elements in self-publishing.
Mhm.
It's quality over quantity. And so you have to understand that when you're publishing a book, yeah, you can get it published in 15 days. Literally, you can. If it's written, it takes less than 15 days to publish it. But you have to make sure that it's something worth reading. And that's something that a lot of authors need to understand and know, that, yeah, you can do it, but the life of the book is 100 years. That book will be around longer than you. Make sure it's something worth reading.
You know what? I love that you said that. And I'm glad that you said that, because that's exactly what I feel when it comes to self-publishing. I've self-published and I've used a vanity company as well. But I think that what is so interesting is the quality of work. And, often I am asked to read books or to review books and things like that. It's important that we use editors, that we get consultants, that we do our homework and make sure that that book is good quality, because it's representing us, and things are going to happen. You're going to make mistakes. I mean, no work is flawless. I mean, I'm sorry, it's just not. But I've seen things where it's just, there was, like you said, 15-day turnaround. I just want to put a book out. And so they do it, and there's just no real standard. And we have to have that standard. That's very, very important. So you were also signed with a publishing house as well?
Correct. So
Tell
it
us
was
about that.
a fairly new publishing company. And when I say signed, I literally mean I did nothing. They paid for editing services. They paid for the book to come out. They paid for, I think for sure, 30-day marketing after. They did some promotions. That was an awesome experience. And I'll say, of course, there's pros and cons to everything, but the pros to that was that this was actually something, you're saying what I have is something of value to your company that you want. And I literally have to do nothing. I literally got to just write the book, sit back and watch and wait to see, how it happened. And so to me, that was awesome. It was a good experience for me. I actually wrote 3 books under that company. The cons, of course, like anything, you go through the person in order to get the books. And, those are some things that you have to look out. And of course, you have to look at royalties. They're going to be more or less. Of course, you don't get as much as you would as if you would self-publish. And so pros and cons. But as far as that process, if you ever get the opportunity, of course, always read the contract, read what you're signing, make sure it's something for you. But it's a good time to network, because you're usually coming into a group of people, a tribe of people who are working together for the one common good, and that's for you to be successful. And when you have a tribe of people working on your behalf, you will be successful. And so, that's something that's very good to do. 2 of the books out of those 3 landed the top 5 Amazon bestsellers. That was awesome. And so again, when you have somebody who's actually saying, hey, I want that story. That's somebody who's saying, I'm going to put my business on the line for you, because I know something inside that story speaks to me and it'll speak to others. And so again, that was a very good process. I have no complaints with it. But again, that was what I did at that time. Everybody has a certain area in their life where it's like, okay, what's best for you? And at that time, that was what was best for me.
So, did you receive an advance from this
No,
company?
I did not receive an advance. The sign-on was straight. They would complete the book. They would, do the edits, do everything for the book, and then I would get paid, as the book sold.
And how did you find them? Did you query them, or did they find you?
No, we were actually, I want to say between either social media groups or between someone else. Like someone tagged me and showed me something that was going on within the company. And that's how we got together. Like someone said, hey, this is a company that's actually looking for a certain amount of submissions. It has to be, there's certain requirements, things to do. And so I submitted a synopsis. And once I submitted that synopsis, they reached back out to me.
So talk a little bit about your sales. I mean, are you seeing thousands and thousands of sales, or I mean, talk to us a little bit about what was the most successful and what publishing process you used for your most successful books.
So the most successful book was definitely Take Off the Mask. And again, that book was a Christian-based book. It's a chapter book, and it's just about being who you are, opening up, living your life free. And that one, again, I have to say, I can't say I would not have made it without it, but I have to acknowledge the fact that that one got national recognition. So that may be why it was the one that brought in thousands, and it brought in so much money, simply because, after you've been on TV and after you've done some things, people start to notice you and people start to recognize. And I mean, here we are years later, and I still have that clip from Lifetime that I can show anytime before I speak somewhere. I still have that clip where I can say, this was something that I did within my life. And so it automatically brings in sales, and so that one was the most successful to me. Now I've had, the children's book, Birdie's Way, has done very well. We do very well with that book in the month of May. And I'll explain why, because May is Mental Health Month. And that book is on mental health. It's about a little girl who has mental health issues, and she's educated on, that even though she has health issues, she's still special in her own way. And so that book does really well. Of course, in the month of May is when I promote it the most. So those books, and of course the One Night Only series did well. We actually turned that one into a stage play. We did a live performance, the whole, everything, the music, the actors. And so again, that one did really well. So I've seen some really, really good sales. I stopped, I guess last year, I want to say, with actually promoting, because I was working on building the app. And so I did very little promotions last year. I'll be 100% transparent. I did very little promotions last year. The book that I just got was a coloring book. And so that one is doing really well. But again, it's literally just been released this month. And so I can't even talk to you about sales on it because it literally just released this month. But for the most part, they've been doing well, but I will say that the book doesn't sell itself. I guess I could just say it like that. You have to work hard and have a group of people working hard with you.
So what is your source? I mean, what is your number one form of marketing if you had to give us your top two forms of marketing for your book?
My first one, and this is probably the unpopular opinion because most people will say social media, but my first one is actually face-to-face networking at events. Whenever you're networking at events, you're usually at a vendor event with 100 people or less that have books, and you actually can go to people and people will come to you and talk to you. And when I say 100 or less, I mean, I'm not talking about these huge events with 50,000 vendors, because guess what? You're going to be an ant over there. You find events that are small and you actually get to network with people, and you do face-to-face and you make it personal. Those have been my best ones. I mean, I have outsold books of those simply because I'm actually able to make it personable. You can't do that at a market with 50,000 other vendors. But if you find a small event that's going on that doesn't cost much to get a table, because that's a whole nother category when we talk about people trying to make money off authors. But anyways, you find a small event where you can have, pay maybe $20, $30 just to have a table, and you sit down and you pass out your card and you actually network. That has worked wonders for me, not only through sales, but networking. I've met so many great people that I still have today in my contact that I was able to add into my network when we downloaded the app. I mean, so many great things have come from face-to-face networking. The second one, I guess, would be social media, just because social media is an amazing way to meet new people and network. The only thing with social media you have to be mindful of is that sometimes we're speaking to the same 5 people every day. And you have to watch that. You have to know how to network, because if not, that book is going to be seen 1 million times but not make $1. And so that's something that you have to be mindful of. But definitely face-to-face networking, and then social media the right way.
That is so great. I love talking to you. You've done so much. You've done so well. It's just great to talk to you about writing. It's great to talk to all the writers. I mean, I'm so encouraged by doing this because, we need to support each other. And this is just a great way to do it, to learn your process, to learn about your experiences. So thank you so much for sharing. I wanted to kind of close out by talking about your app. I know that you're an entrepreneur. I am too. I have a PR firm, but I also run a youth entrepreneurship program, and I work with kids all over the country, actually the US and Canada, on building different companies, and most of them are tech-based. And I used to run the first division for entrepreneurship for the state of Maryland. And so I'm really, really big on business development. And so when I heard that you had an app, and a lot of the youth that I work with are all developing apps. And so, I work with so many startups all the time. But tell us about your app, because, this idea, of being an author and a business person, if you are writing books and selling books, you are an entrepreneur. I just want to put that out there. That's, what the process is very similar. So I want to make sure that our authors understand that you need to know how to develop a business in order to really sell these books. So talk to us about your app. Really excited to hear about that.
So Writers Rock is a mobile app. We are an exclusive app, and I'll tell you how we're exclusive and why, but we are an app of resources. We literally have a network of literary agents across the country. When I say across the country, I mean that includes Canada, Australia, Europe. We have literary agency listings. We have advertising firms listings, people that are able to actually help you get your book to the next level. We are a small social platform. What I mean by small social is that you can go and chat with other writers. You can actually go into the app and actually say hello, talk about yourself. We have live events quarterly, at least quarterly, where we actually have experts come on and actually sit down and talk about different things that are going on. For example, in October, which is Book Lovers Month for the most part, we have a Rock Your Brand, and with a world-renowned guru who will be talking about, you know, branding and things of that nature. And so we have live events, we have social networking. We list a small amount of books each month. And why do we list a small? That's kind of what makes us exclusive. The average app lists millions. You go on Facebook, you go on any of these book apps and you see millions and millions of books. We're not doing that. We list a small selection each month because we don't want you to get overwhelmed, but we want you to see what's out there. And so we have a small selection of books. We list upcoming filmmakers who are writers who are trying to get their business started, who want their businesses listed and their movies listed. We list bloggers. We list different resources that are available to writers.
That is so excellent. So congratulations on everything that you're working on. And thank you so much for sharing with the BWW community. We hope that you continue to post and just talk to everybody about BWW as well. What we're trying to do is just to showcase Black writers. And we see that you're also trying to showcase Black writers. So we're going to support you as well with Writers Rock. So congratulations with everything that you're doing. Thank you so much, Lynette, for being on the call, on the interview with me. And have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.